At the start of the season, I always like to do some kind of a cool, big adventure just to get me out of snow mode and into dirt and get my head wrapped up. Last season, I had the opportunity to travel to Gateway Canyons Resort for the Arctic Cat introduction of the new Wildcat Trail, as well as the Wildcat 1000X. And just from the scenery, the different riding terrain, and what the place had to offer, I knew we had to go back. For DirtTrax, I have the opportunity to travel a lot of really cool places, do a whole lot of crazy and different things, and travel with tons of interesting people. But it's funny because most people will ask how I like working with my dad and my brother, and the truth is, we don't travel together all that often.
AJ talked to me about 3 or 4 months ago and said that he wanted me to join him on this tour and this trip to Utah and Colorado and to experience the Gateway Canyon and Gateway Canyon Resort. I was amped and ready to go and to find out what this whole thing was going to unfold like, because it sure sounded good on paper.
The last time we were at Gateway Canyons Resort, I was actually discussing with somebody from there how Moab was so close, and when looking on Google Maps, we found out that it was literally less than 50 miles, or approximately 50 miles across the desert. So that was the reason I wanted to go back. I thought, man, we snowmobile more than that all the time. Why can't we do this on an ATV or a side-by-side? So we had to travel from the airport to Gateway Canyons Resort before we went to Moab, because we were picking up the fella who had set up the whole trip for us and kind of organized and planned the Gateway end of it.
My name is Chuck Dempsey. I'm the race director here at Gateway, Colorado for Driven Experiences. I've got about 28 Baja 1000s under the belt, trying to catch my dad who's got 41 Baja 1000s under his belt, so I got a little ways to go still. I used to race on motorcycles prior for most of my racing career, and got into racing the cars and the trophy trucks in the last about 10 years.
Last year at the Arctic Cat introduction, I talked to Chuck about an idea similar to this. We called Chuck and said, hey, we'll show you what we do in the wintertime going from destination to destination. And he said, sure, sounds good. Why don't I show you what we do here at Gateway with the Driven Experiences, and we can make this kind of a big adventure for you guys. And it sounded cool to him, sounded cool to us, and it just kind of fell together. So the route that we were planning to take was from Moab to Gateway Canyons Resort and then eventually back again. The route was going to take us out through Moab, past all the cool slick rock that everybody knows Moab for, up into the mountains, gaining altitude, and across what are called the La Salle Mountains, eventually coming back down into more canyonous terrain at Gateway, and eventually bringing us pretty much right to the front doors of the Gateway Canyons Resort. On the first morning of our adventure, we ended up at Dirt Seekers, which is in Moab, and they are an Arctic Cat rental facility. Dirt Seekers had a brand new Wildcat Trail with, I think it had like 30 miles on it, and they had an older 1000 Wildcat for us. Everything was ready to go. We got geared up. We were set. Didn't really know what the day was going to hold, but we were excited.
My first impression when we left the town of Moab was. This is super cool because we drove right down the main street on side-by-sides, and so was everybody else. I mean, this place is a gearhead's paradise. It was pretty amazing to me, the stunning beauty and the potential to have a blast riding off-road.
And the vistas there they're big. I mean, it's big country, it's big scenery, and it's not the kind of thing you get to see very often where you look to your right and it's all kind of burnt off desert, crazy rocks and mountains. And then you look to your left and it's the LaSalle Mountains that are green. They have a little snow up top, and there's, vegetation, and it's lush and it looks beautiful. It's truly polar opposites.
So the route between Moab and Gateway, I've been on John Brown. That's the road that we took off there. I've been down there almost 3/4 of the way, but never went that extra part to get to Moab. But it's an awesome route, super scenic, and it's great for the Wildcats. I mean, great for Jeeps, anything to go across. It's fun for everybody. I mean, we got everything, and obviously the area is just beautiful to be riding in.
Climbing mountains and then running a mountain pass with a 1,000-foot drop-off, literally inches away from your from the edge of the road. It was just actually an emotional experience. It can be terrifying, it can be exciting, but one thing for sure, it's good.
If you look on the maps and you investigate a little further, there is tons and tons of trails. Most of them are what you would consider to be like a fire road. They're wide and really accessible, a little higher speed, a little more fun. There's just a ton to do around the Moab area, from Moab to the LaSalle Mountains. You can spend days there. You can probably spend weeks and not ride the same trails. So Chuck doesn't spend too much time in side-by-sides, but he's starting to. And I wanted to make sure that we gave him a good experience. That we picked up the pace, had some fun. As much as he was riding behind me and had to deal with the dust, I knew that he was going to get a good ride out of this.
When you got a guy like Chuck Dempsey following you in a Wildcat 1000, there's a little pressure on to make sure you keep the entertainment level fairly high. Things pretty much got wound up tight like they usually do with either one of my sons, AJ or Luke, and things kicked into high gear, and we got some super, super good fast riding with a lot of really sweet corners, backing it in, power sliding, inside front tire off the ground. I was really pleased to be able to ride with AJ because he can drive the wheels off of pretty much everything or anything, and we had a really cool ride, particularly the last part going into Gateway.
The UTVs give something like, that's closest to what we get to drive, the big trucks, but a lot less expensive. So, it's cool that anybody can do it. And it's just a lot of fun. You're in the dirt, you're going sideways, you're jumping, and especially when me and AJ drove, we're going side by side racing, and it's cool, just a lot of fun.
We got into the canyonous terrain nearing Gateway, and I started to recognize some of the stuff I had ridden from the previous year, and I knew we were getting close. We blasted down the roads into Gateway, and we were all really excited to get across, get to the resort, and sort of cool down after a long day, not knowing whether we were going to make it, not knowing whether we were going to have these great obstacles or issues in the middle. We were excited to roll in and finish our day off, and that's just what we did. I was pretty excited for Mark to be able to experience Gateway because it's a place like no other.
It's an oasis. It is this incredibly huge, brand new, 5-star, 8-star, 10-star, whatever you want to call it, resort. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that, you're going to go there and then you start wondering, wow, here we are on side-by-sides. Is this cool?
So at Gateway Canyons Resort, they have the driven experiences, and one of those is the Pro Baja driven experience, meaning you get to ride a Pro Baja truck, either a ride-along or you get to drive it if you do the full experience. And that's what Chuck had in store for us at Gateway, was the Pro Baja experience. I mean, he's a racer, that's what he does, and this is why he's at Gateway. I was super excited, Mark was pumped, Chuck was excited to show us what these things could do, and it was like kids in candy stores, man. Tune in next week for the remainder of our adventure, including the driven Pro Baja experience, followed by Mark and my departure from Gateway Canyons Resort back to Moab.
If you enjoyed this video, post a comment and let us know what you think. Then, click this link to subscribe and that link for more great videos from DirtTrax TV.